Hi there, Theresa here from theresamonro.com, and I'm a sacred channel for the beings of light. This is something that I've done since I was quite young, and so the beings of light include beings like the angels and the ascended masters, and then other beings of light that are known in, they have other labels, essentially. One of the ones that has been coming up more and more are a group of twin angels that show up as a mirror image of each other, called the Myriam. Otherwise, the name Myriam comes up. So there is an association with the name Myriam in the Bible, known as Myriam the prophetess, the one known as the sister to Moses and Aaron. She was first mentioned in, I believe, the book of Exodus in the Bible. It was. The Torah definitely refers to her as Myriam the prophetess, and the Talmud refers to her as one of the 7 major female prophets of Israel. So it's pretty interesting to go back, because as a she singular, is there an association with the Myriam as angels? Yes, there's an association between both, and there's not a whole lot that's discussed about this, but in terms of details about the Myriam angels, but what they're mentioning to me right now is that the prophetess Myriam definitely channeled, at the very least, these twin angels. Okay. I should probably grab the card. I don't know that I have the card in front of me right now, but I'll place it as the thumbnail so that you guys are able to see. But what was his name? Not John Gray. Kyle Gray did some cards, and she came and became one of the cards in, I believe, the Keepers of the Light deck is what it was. And there's not a whole lot of information on her, but she's very busy coming to people, or they are busy coming to people, these twin angels, for a number of different reasons. And so she kept coming to me and saying, would you please do this video and speak about the Myriam and what the Myriam are, and who the Myriam is or are, and what they're here to do and how they're helping humanity, because there are people that are starting to see these twin angels in and they're twin female angels, by the way, that are coming to people that are experiencing grief. Now, the Myriam are also the 2 angels that came to Mary Magdalene. If you follow, there's several different timelines around the death of Christ, but one of the timelines was him passing on the cross. There's also timelines, depending on which timeline you incarnated on, where he did not pass on the cross. But for the one where he did, the Myriam came to Mary Magdalene after his death and was basically delivering the messages that you hear about that are in the Bible. So the Myriam's name means beloved, which it's one of the few angels that doesn't have the L on the end. The EL, like Mikael, means perfect one of God. The EL is of God. So sometimes the feminine angels don't have the EL on the end, and that's just kind of the way it is. They specifically assist in 2 main areas, and this is something that you'll resonate with, either to be able to call on them for support for, or if you've been seeing them, you're going to say, okay, I know for these particular reasons, oh, then no wonder why they're here. Okay, so they assist with the grieving process. So if you have either grievances with another person that you feel like aren't able to be resolved, you can call on them for that. If you're experiencing grief of any kind, not just kind of the stereotypical grief of it's funny because you're talking to me at the same time while I'm talking to you guys, but not just the grief that you expect when somebody has passed, or just the loss of something or someone. They're laughing, they're like, that's basically what grief is. But if there's also grievances, like if you're suffering of any kind, this is something that you can call on them and ask for assistance, or for a peaceful way out or a peaceful resolution. You can it's an interesting thing, because knowing all the different angels and what their different jobs are, I can call on them for different things, but lately I've been going like just straight to God for it and let him determine who wants to come show up. It typically happens that way anyway, even if you call on one angel, if they're meant to be, if they're only doing certain things, Mikael will send other angels. The only thing is that you don't have to be that specific, but for those that are curious about it, also, all they need is your permission to assist, due to the universal law of free will choice, meaning you have to ask for help for them to be able to intervene, because you have the right to suffer if you want to. Which doesn't make sense to the logical brain, right? Okay, here's the other beautiful thing that they help with. They are in my third eye spray of light. I have these different sprays. One of them opens the third eye, and they assist with the gift of sight. And there's a reason why they come together, and it's a mirror image of one another. They have to do with visions, and they play a very specific part within what they're calling the hologram. And some of you are going to understand what that means, but to them it looks kind of like a movie. If you've ever, picked up, what do you call it? The virtual reality goggles, and you've put those on and felt how real that feels. This incarnation, in this world while we're in a human form, can feel a lot like that for them. But yeah, I'm trying to see what else happened. Yeah, they will specifically, okay, so the other thing, and honestly, I've never had angels come to me quite so much as they're coming right now. So she's just stating, and it comes as one singular, but also two females together, twin angels, which is different from, it's not the same as twin flames. It's not quite the same as twin souls either. So it's a very rare situation where you see like actual like twin angels in this format. But specifically they help you, okay, so they help you move beyond the grief in terms of, they'll either give you a piece of news that's good about the situation, or they help you shift your perspective about it so that you move out of grief, which is why there were specific words that were said to Mary Magdalene that you'll hear about in different books that had her move beyond her grief so that she's able to commune with Jesus again. And because part of the thing is, I actually heard this from a client on Saturday who was upset because she couldn't connect with her partner who had moved on, and he had passed away, and she was upset, and he's just stating like, because she wants to hear him, and I'm just like, you have to move beyond your grief to be able to do that. That's, to be able to have your gift of sight, because sometimes, and people that work with their emotions and intuitive gifts and enough know that grief can be something that, or any strong emotion or fear, can kind of clog it's this cloud that shows up, not quite as strong or as linear or physical as like a block, but it can cloud your perspective a little bit. And the feelings are very right to you, but something that they're also mentioning is, and this is something that may be helpful to you, is your thoughts tend to create emotions and feelings within the body. And that's why it's important they'll give you an idea that shifts your perspective, so that you're able to remove the grief. They also provide you with different rays of light and healing so that the grief is able to be processed out of the body more quickly. So they're just stating that there's a number of people whose vision is opening, and that there's a number of people who are experiencing some grief at the moment, and that she wants you to know that the Myriam are there to assist you. So it's interesting how she shifts back and forth between a she and they as the twins, but it's an interesting dynamic energetically, which is why it switches back and forth between she and they. You're not going to get it wrong by stating one or the other, and that's a human thing that we place and project onto things. Okay, so she's stating, if you refer to me as the Myriam in plural or just one, that's totally okay. Another thing that she really, in terms of shifting perspective, she's like, we all make mistakes in life. And there's something here around certain Hawaiian people that I've seen that children will often do as well, is have this ability to be able to mention, like, they can scrap, but then if somebody says something that makes a lot of sense, they like reel that ego in so fast. There's some that can't, but there's a large number. It's pretty impressive to watch where they're able to shift and their perspective shifts, and then they're like, oh, okay, sorry. And it's a pretty profound thing to watch. I've seen kids do it, but also it's something very specific to the Hawaiian people that I've seen. Usually, like in like America and a couple other places, they'll keep scrapping even if they know, like, it's time to end that and squash it, you know. But all that being said, in terms of perspective, the Myriam says, like, we all make mistakes in life, you know, and just remember, we don't always have to ask God for forgiveness, although forgiveness is big in the collective right now at the time that this is being filmed. Like, out of all the readings I've been doing, it's just forgive, 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 and the Violet Flame helps with that tremendously. If you want to know how to work with that, let me know. But the Myriam helps us remember you don't have to ask God for forgiveness, because he never condemned you in the first place. And some people may find that contradictory to religious belief or dogma, but that's their main message for you. If some of you are like, why are the Myriam coming to me? Or why am I thinking of that? And also, anybody with the name Myriam is directly connected with them. Like, anybody with the name, you know, Christopher would be, you know, obviously tied to Saint Christopher and things like that. There's an energy in the name for people that would carry a certain gift. Most Myriams are going to be, they're going to have that gift of sight and either deal with grief or know how to heal it. So, but that's their main message is, one, they're here to help shift the grief, and they're here to open your sight. So if you've been reading about the Myriam, or because you're stating the collective is more curious about the Myriam, and there's not much information out there, so I wanted to put this out. And if this is helpful for you, please comment below and let me know. Give it a like or thumbs up, or share it with somebody that you know is working with the Myriam. So yeah, I hope that helps. So congratulations if they're coming to you about your third eye and you're like, what is this? The other thing about the third eye, by the way, is that's something that you want to clear if you're miscreating things, and miscreations and things can create grievances and stuff. So if you've had any pain in that area, that's something that they assist with. All right. Hopefully I'll get some more videos out about the different ascended masters and different angels so that you can get to know them a little bit better. Because it's not something you see a whole lot of, is describing the personalities and the colors and the rays of things. So they tend to have the Easter lily with them, which is a very beautiful flower. Ironically, is the same flower from the time of, if you're on that timeline, that are celebrated during the time of Easter from, you know, Christ's passing, which is something that maybe they're also shown with the Vesica Pisces, by the way, if you know what that is. It looks like two rings, but it's typically inverted. Some people say, oh, that looks a lot like the infinity symbol. Usually the infinity symbol is also associated with the Vesica Pisces, which you can Google that. Maybe we'll do a video on the Vesica Pisces. So if this is helpful, give it a like below. Thanks so much.